Hey Joe, how you doing? Good evening.
I'm doing pretty well. Doing pretty well. How are things on your end?
It's all right. It's all right. You didn't rug me tonight, so I'm feeling happy.
Oh, that's good.
But
Second
you did
time.
rug me at the beginning here.
Yeah, second time's the charm, right?
Yeah, it
Something
is.
like that.
What happened big this week? Catalyst results came in, right?
Yeah, Catalyst results came in. Those of you that don't know, Cardano has basically a tax system, I believe, on their transactions, and they raise that goes to a treasury, and then it gives projects the ability to apply for funding, and it goes through some kind of voting stuff. And so, yeah, there was multiple projects on the Ergo side that actually applied, because obviously Spectrum was one, because they're building an exchange in both environments, right? They got approved. Then Rosenbridge also put a proposal out there to create stake pool operators and to involve them in the watcher side of the Rosenbridge. That got improved. Then Zengate had a proposal as well, and that got approved. Unfortunately, Paideia did not, but I think that they're certainly getting closer to beta by the looks of things, and it's a good tool.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. That I mean, this is the kind of thing that I think, especially in these kind of markets, that is lasting and that the communities really need. So I thought it's kind of interesting that Paideia
Well,
didn't get the funding, but
it's one of those things where it's like, I guess in the crypto sphere, right? There is an absolute ton of DAO tokens, right? But
yeah,
at the end of the day, what does that even mean, right?
we've had some DAO tokens on Ergo too.
Yeah, yeah, it's not on chain for the most part. It's like, okay, we're gonna have a Discord DAO or a Telegram DAO, and so there's no like verifiable way to enforce any results, number one.
hmm
And it is, I kind of have seen the reality where DAO stands for devs arguing online, right? It's not always the most practical form of governance, versus Paideia is actually creating a suite of tools for enforceable results, right? And if you take a step back and you think about it, that's powerful, because you, as a community member, right, in most instances really can't do shit about anything. That's just the truth. You can't. I mean,
You can
and
bitch. That's about it.
yeah, you can complain on online, right? But there are so many people complaining online. Congratulations, you're now sand on a beach, right? Versus having the ability to actually enforce change on a community level and lead projects is pretty damn cool, if you ask me. Like, I really wish that and the Ergo Foundation, I wish we would have had this tool from day one, right? That would have been so cool to have the community involved in a lot of the discussions, debates. Maybe things get louder and messier, but you build mindshare, you get better outputs, better ideas.
You know what I would love in Paideia at some point in the future? Now I realize when Paideia first comes out, it's going to be, there's
Sure.
going to be a few templates of like, if A and B happen, then C happens and that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. But what would be awesome if connectors were built into Paideia. So let's say I create a Paideia, a vote on Paideia, and that vote points to two different commits on GitHub. And if it wins one way, then that commit, with no changes is pushed. And if it wins the other way, then the commit and that change is pushed. So you could really have on-chain governance, on-chain decision-making, fully visual, and it pushes a predetermined commit that you've already written before the vote takes place, and Paideia executes it, or the bots execute that commit. So that would be absolutely amazing to be able to do.
I'm sure that as it launches in beta, it's going to be, let's just say in puberty, right? I think it's matured beyond childhood at that point. I know that Louis Vacho has been hacking away at that for a long time. But certainly, I do think it's going to mature. I think that we're going to have proposals and see ideas like that long term. And, it gets back to this idea of community governance. Right? Apparently, that's important.
It didn't repeat on us that time, Joe.
If the truth is, a lot of governance tokens, I don't see them as governing much, right? And even to the point of like I have a repository for a decentralized application that's closed source code, and I have a way you can vote on Discord, right? There's a lot of trust me's there.
Yep.
There's no actual seat at the table for community, and having things on chain and enforceable basically gives everybody a proper seat. That's important. So I'm excited to see it. You want to start, or would you like me to dive into what?
No, I just wanted to say too that I think that kind of stuff. Once, I mean, we're in a bear market, of course, so we have I don't know. Yeah, how do you put that in words? You have a mix of people who are here for a reason, and maybe other people that are in sunken cost fallacy right there. So you have a mix of those kind of people. So I think once people discover that, hey, we can come into a chain, we can have a tool set that actually can enforce change and visibly on a chain, on the blockchain, and as a community can get together and actually push change, then I think once they see that, they'll I don't know. That's wishful thinking, I guess, Joe.
We hope
to actually maybe have an idea that, hey, maybe this is what crypto's about. Maybe this is what decentralization is about.
Who knows? Maybe we just need to create the Moon DAO, right? Throw everybody that with the craziest ideas into their own little DAO and let them have fun.
The safer Moon DAO, we can call it.
Safest.
Safest. All right, Joe, you want to dive in? Let's see who you want to go first.
Sure. So Louis Vatra is talking about the Paideia beta. So he's minimized the Batcher Erg reward to avoid bot bidding wars. The reward is in Paideia token. Erg only needed to hold the tokens. Created 2-string for DAO config value, which is represented as array byte on chain and multiple types off chain to ensure consistent representation in the front end. Created get type for getting type of DAO config value array byte. Created from string for building a DAO config value from a string and given type. Using the above work implemented endpoints to create proposals which alter the DAO config. Successfully tested an update config proposal and voted for it to pass. Now daily emissions of B Paideia to stakers is 27,398 instead of 27,397. God, I hope governance is not that nitpicky, but let's see. Maybe there's a good reason, right? Added the APY estimate to stake info endpoint, finishing up the front-end integration of update config proposals. We'll onboard some beta testers soon. I'd definitely like to hop in and play with that. Then for Crux and ErgoPad, they're working on a login system that allows for registration of multiple wallets, proof of ownership done through Ergo Auth. The real interesting thing, I think, in Paideia is going to be if we ever see joint community investment groups, like pooling funds, right? That's when you get really interesting in terms of like competing returns. But I think the DeFi ecosystem needs to mature a bit in order for that to happen.
So what are you saying those would be used for? Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. So let's say that me, you, and a couple of other members said, hey, we're going to pool some of our funds and we're going to create like a joint investment fund on Ergo. Now we have the tools to manage that, right? You have treasury control, you have voting for proposals, and in theory, let's say that we then had a competing fund B, right? And so let's say that in the future our DeFi system and economic primitives like SigUSD, DEXI, Gluon, and all of these start to build out, then you might actually get into an idea of competing returns, right? To where, does fund A outperform fund B? And, what are the different investment strategies? And I think that longer term, that's a really interesting concept that probably will happen just based on what the tooling allows.
That would be very interesting. I've heard that as far as investment strategies, didn't they pit a computer against a group of very specialized and talented humans for investment choices, and the computer fared almost or as equally well or better than the human groups, kind of thing.
Longer term, we might see that. I mean, I think that the rise of like some form of mixed, economic intelligence with, groups of humans is going to basically be the case. It's already what we see with Aladdin leading BlackRock, right? I mean, just some decentralized alternatives in a much smaller environment, smaller scale, but definitely it makes sense.
All right, let's move on to Green Hat. Their progress. Published Sigma Rust version 0.24.1 with a fix for WASM memory addressing issue. GitHub there. Almost finished pretty printer implementation for the rest of the IR nodes. Planning to finish the pretty printer implementation for the rest of the IR nodes tomorrow and merge with number 720. Next is help decipher script reduce defaults error message with a pretty printed tree and evaluated vars. And he's got the GitHubs listed right there. We were talking with I'll mention that later, but Cheese and I were talking about the node today. So I'll mention it, and I think I have an update here down here, so we'll mention it then. But go for it.
Sure. So it looks like with Alex's side on the Ergo protocol and reference client research and development, he's continuing to assemble and test update 5.0.15. It's been reviewed and merged, testing for poll 2031 on one node to see how that runs. Read different papers and proposals such as Bizcoin paper, compact blocks BIP, and improved writing for weak blocks white paper a bit, and did some more prototyping. So he's actually researching and prototyping at the same time. With ChainCash, continue to develop a solution for having notes on layer 1 or layer 2 with the same redemption contract. Finally, I think that proper redemption contract sketch is there as hardest case when a tree being cut is presented to the redemption contract is solved. Going to polish and publish contracts on the forum. I think L1 or L2 payment system could be extended to other applications further, such as layer 1 or layer 2 mixing, which would be pretty efficient, pretty cool to see. In general, very excited about ChainCash on layer 2. Looks like with DEXI. On the user side, proxy contracts for Spectrum have been imported, fixed some things there to make them compatible with the DEXI LP contracts. Checking the buyback contract for the last time, then going to deploy the Gold Oracle pool on the mainnet. So we're going to have a announcement on the Gorts. It's the sexiest token name, Gort.
That is.
I believe we're going to have, an announcement to make in the next week. So everybody pay attention to that. And it looks like on other, he's proposed some more topics for Ergo Hack. That's a good reminder. Those of you out there, the Ergo Hack is going to be happening mid-October. So definitely anybody that's interested, front end, back end, even on the community side, there's always a space to participate. So feel free to reach out, join a team, and have fun if you have a weekend.
It was fun. It was a good, what was it, 2 weeks? Was it a week? 2 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a fun 2 weeks, that's for sure. Now, Gort token, that's going to be the reward for the payment reward for running Oracle pools, correct?
Yeah, so the Oracle reward token, and then whatever the Oracle is going to be. So for gold, Gort makes sense. I guess if we see silver, we're going to have the sort.
Sort.
And it's one of those things. Let's see how it plays out. Now, how many Oracle record tokens we have? Could have the fort, the bort, the court. Let's see. Or
Snort, yeah.
somebody will come in and say, the Ergo community really sucks at naming things. Please fix
That's a
it.
classic scientific thing. Those names are kind of shitty with scientific papers. Oh boy. All right, what do we have next? We have they added the Gluon token. Yeah, Christian has added the Gluon token to the Tipperbot. And if you remember, this is the guy who added all the Greasy Sex NFTs to Tipperbot so that you can tip in Lumber Joe or Kushti Kushti. Or
Awesome.
what were the other ones? The Gensler one, Scary Gary.
Mm-hmm.
Those are pretty good.
They were pretty good. Yeah, the Gluon protocol is, still being developed. That's going to be exciting to see come out, actually.
From the looks of it, I think there were, well, I haven't looked in a week or two, but there were about 10, 11 people running Oracle 2s for that, running them just fine. It's pretty neat.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to see. It's kind of like a more mature implementation of SigUSD, to be honest. It's kind of an upgrade. I know that there's a lot of people out there that are still implementing SigUSD, JED, and the likes, but having alternatives there's actually a really nice idea. See how they perform in different conditions, and building liquidity because it's going to have kind of a different function, different risk assessment than SigUSD. So excited to see. Looks like next we have Captain Nemo with the Nautilus team with Ergomatic, fixed bugs in monitor component, added monitoring component tests, added plugin configs schema validation to the Ergomatic core, added release pipeline, added install script, and the big news this week there is they released version 0.0.1. So that's the first release we've seen of Ergomatic, which is kind of like a composable bot that framework that's going to be built to try to support plugins, which is pretty cool. With Fleet SDK, the core added add NFT convenience method to output builder, added missing type exports, released version 0.2.3 with Nautilus. Finished display address on device functionality, the last missing piece on Nautilus side before ask Ledger team for audit and publish. Researching zero config setup, which aims to improve UX by allowing unconfirmed transaction chaining by default. Looked at integrating Ergo into MetaMask. Through its new plugin system, it looks like a lot of potential UX improvements for cross-chain interaction, like bridging and atomic swaps. That could be big, especially as Rosen comes out, and I know that we've got a couple, other alternatives. CNETA potentially could come in with their Bitcoin. Then you also have what Death Grips is working on with atomic swaps, and having a UI that everybody's familiar with would be pretty damn cool.
That would be. And Nemo's, for those of you people that don't know, Nemo's, famous for his not just creating the tool, but creating the framework for the tool as well, so other people can build on. What you see in Ergomatic and Fleet SDK and that kind of stuff. So it's really above and beyond what the typical just create a product kind of dev is doing.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, Jesus. Look at that timing. Perfect. We didn't even plan that, Joe. All right, Ergo Sigma knots. The SIGs have spun up a node with mining core and are currently throwing anywhere from 5 to 15. Actually, there's about 30 at it right now, 30 gigahash for a little bit, to test its functionality, manageability, and most recently payouts. The overall ideas are as follows. Create a DAO-based mining pool where decisions are fully made and executed by the DAO. 1% pool fee will go to the Sigma knots treasury. Cheese has already been hired to write the code, and this is big for storage mining, which should be implemented in a few weeks. Now that's gonna, hopefully we're gonna be the first that do that, Joe.
Yep. Thank God we actually have a mining pool that's going to do
I
something.
know. So that's the idea on the next step. With the community running a pool, we have better access to actual miners and help educate and move the chain forward with proper voting instead of what is happening now.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, mining pools are lazy. Just that, set up the server, make sure the infrastructure is good, go to lunch.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was doing all these configs and looking at the back end and trying to see where we can list ourselves and that kind of thing. I don't want to say anything bad about anything, but there's a page where you can see the pools and their hash rates, and one of those pools is advertising, mine Ergo, swap Bitcoin immediately, like automatically, kind of like a guap swap right there. They just dump Ergo Ergo as soon as it gets mined, and they give them Bitcoin, and they have one of the biggest hash rates out there. And this is literally what they advertise on their banner there. And another one was another one that I was seeing in the back end when I was doing some PRs. To try to get listed, at least for the alpha version of what we're doing. They were talking about there was a feature that would literally just hop pools automatically. It would find the best rates, find the best luck, and just hop for you. Just hop.
Yeah, miners are totally different than they were in like 2015, 2016, 2017. There's some great people out there with the mindset that care about decentralization. To actually care about securing networks, the technological potential of it, etc. And then there's, kind of the ones that are there to, print a little profit margin every month, and they don't really care. Like they don't really care. And the reality is, GPU proof of work shows that based on kind of the current market conditions of GPU mining is in a rough spot. So I'm excited to see, new mining pool. I actually look back, and one of my regrets is not being, I was like, well, maybe I should be neutral and, with GetBlock, even though they were doing a lot of cool stuff. And I did try to talk about them, but I always tried to be, somewhat fair to other mining pools. But at this point, fuck them. Mine to the Sigma Knot pool.
Are you gonna fire up your rig, Joe?
I'll fire up my rig. It's been down for a little bit, but yeah, I'll do it.
All right, that'll be fantastic. But yeah, that's a general idea. We want to create a community pool that can, just by joining, you're realizing that, hey, we can steer where this pool is going, and then hopefully it clicks from there that, holy shit, we're not just steering the pool, we're steering the freaking ecosystem and the code that executes the thing. Yeah. Just trying to get that to click in their heads, that's all.
Yeah, because we have all these great governance tools. We have storage rent, and mining pools, don't do shit. So
hopefully we can change that.
At this point, I would love to see a community project. If I could have a time machine, I would go back and I would have pushed GetBlock a lot harder than I did. So
GetBlock was amazing. One of those.
GetBlock was amazing. It was amazing. It's a shame that I understand market conditions and costs, but in terms of what they were trying to do for proof of work ahead of its time,
it was beautiful. Automatic swaps of tokens to what your little bonus pool as you're mining.
Yeah,
good interface.
Yeah,
the sweet talk them. They give you access to their API. It was nice. Well, it's not good things can't live forever, I guess.
No, it was it was before the time at this point. I think I think that a lot of their ideas there will come back, because the idea of just using proof of work and mining native tokens is amazing. Like you get a further decentralized launch than Ergo was capable of, because now you're bootstrapping on a larger network. Pretty damn cool. So next, looks like we have Death Grips on analog Ergo, adding the automatic contract and curve point verification to Ergo Sepolia test swap, organize test code into separate files and subroutine functions, researching path towards the Bitcoin Lightning swaps, as the next implementation. Submitted an Ergo hack proposal for a tool that will help integrate the cross-chain atomic swap protocol tooling into a web UI securely. Awesome.
So can you explain how atomic swaps work cross-chain?
Sure. So you get into this idea of a hash time lock contract where you basically create a lock and a swap cross chains.
So essentially, it's as opposed to Rosen where you're dumping things into one smart contract, you're individually making tiny smart contracts per swap.
Yeah, you're basically it's atomic swaps are probably the best type of cross-chain transfer. Okay. Now you get into kind of the downside is liquidity sucks. They're complicated and sometimes they're expensive. I would actually say that one of the most beautiful pieces of technology in the crypto currency space is actually on Komodo, right? And it's atomic DEX. Where you're basically creating atomic swaps in kind of like a decentralized application. It's one of those things that it's, in my opinion, it's kind of back to the get block scenario. It's ahead of its time, and unfortunately, there's not a lot of liquidity there, right? But in terms of assumptions and just kind of the beauty of that, it's kind of a beautiful thing to see, right?
Yeah.
But there's a ton of complex cryptography that's needed to do that. It's like we are running our own variation of Schnorr signatures. So is Bitcoin. So you could definitely get some Schnorr swaps, but the cryptography there is beyond me, right? You wouldn't want to have Armenaio swap. So it's not something we've seen, but definitely there's probably a big future there in terms of atomic swaps, but we'll see when the space catches up to that.
All right, let's see. We've got looks like Bitmasks. They are grinding at the remaining box models for Cardano Genesis NFTs. So it looks like they're doing some cross-chain stuff there as well.
Awesome.
Let's see.
Looks like we've got Flying Pig with the yacht, yet another airdrop tool. So yeah, those of you that don't know, a lot of people ended up with Lambos in the Ergo community.
69, Joe, 69 Lambos.
I wanted an airdrop for a few Lambos to every active Ergo address because why not? But couldn't find any tool that allowed me to do this on a massive scale. It supports airdropping to unlimited address or whatever your RAM can tackle. That's pretty impressive.
That is.
Though a CSV with recipient addresses, token ID, the token amount, and erg amount, it splits the CSV file into batches, which is size configurable. That's useful here.
Mm-hmm.
Glad they didn't noodle the network, and sends sequentially, not chained. That's
impressive. Yeah.
You can send one after another or add every X block delay if you want to pace out the airdrop over time. That's pretty cool functionality to see. Apologies for the airdrop to 65,000 users who've been active in 2023. At least you can now say all Ergo holders have several Lambos, and it's not a lie. Stick with that title for your next Erg video. So everybody's got a Lambo in Ergo, right?
Yep.
You're lucky. I didn't have enough Erg to cover the original plan, which was 175,000 addresses from 2022 as well. And it only cost me 2.5 Erg. Bargain. One rule, don't abuse it. Now, yeah, whenever we see these type of tools, right? The airdrop tools, the tipper bot, there's always a part of, my brain that's like, what happens when some DJ gets a hold of the tip bot and sends an NFT picture of something that nobody wants to see, right? Well, please use these tools responsibly, right?
I mean, that's the beauty and difficulty of an open network.
It's the beauty and challenge of it, right? I think at the end it's a kind of a beautiful thing, but yeah, sometimes beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So keep that in mind and play nice, right?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, you could even what? It's those kind of things breed and give birth to other things too. So
Yeah, that
let's say you have an issue with spam or people just lamboing tokens all around. Nemo could build a framework to whitelist tokens in your wallet so that, if you want to run a little bot with his bot framework that just watches your wallet, and any token that you haven't agreed to just gets sent to a burn wallet immediately, kind of thing.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
interesting.
I was scratching my head with the tipper bot at first when I was on Twitter thinking, ooh, this could go bad.
It's Louis Vuitton. It can't go bad. Come on.
Well, I'm not saying that Louis Vuitton is going to do anything bad. I'm just saying, we get custom support for tokens. Who knows, man?
Oh, that's true. Oh, that is true. Who is it? Simon. It's gonna
Yeah,
start
just be
sending dick
lucky.
pics to everybody on Twitter.
He just be lucky he doesn't watch these, I hope.
Well, he's not. He just got kicked from somebody that I know very closely. Kicked him from Baseless yesterday, or maybe it was today.
Well,
We'll see how long he stays out for.
that'll be at least today.
Yep, yep. Okay, here we have Morphic with Sigma. Finish the separation of type and data serializers from the rest of the Sigma code, and then move JS type and JS value and related classes to Sigma core module. The resulting minified JS package for Sigma core is 360 kilobytes, zipped to 96. It includes all serializers for values of all types that can be put into registers as context files. Oof. 2 PRs towards version 5.0.12, waiting for Christie's review. Create third PR towards better modularization, still work in progress. An Ergo analyze Bizecoin COSI papers as candidates for fast transaction finality. The reference implementation in Go is available there. I think we need more discussions about goals and approaches. The weak blocks proposed from Kushi is a good one, but I think we need at least one alternative to make a more educated and motivated choice. Kushi is an expert in this field, and Morphic is not, but he worries about the lack of discussion and analysis of alternatives. Do we want fast TX finality in the core protocol, or we only need high TPS? They're different properties of the protocols. Yeah. Still, there were good discussions going on this week about this.
Yeah, it's always.
I brought up what we talked about in chat about finality and trust in that. If you swap them to the exchange, like what was I was maybe I mentioned last week. I swapped some Alpha to trade ogre, and holy cow, that's a fast chain, but it took 35 minutes before trade ogre did the confirmations. Yeah.
It's because miners aren't doing their goddamn job to distribute the hash rate on Alphium.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know what the concentration is at this point, but I've seen it in the past, and it's sad to see. To be honest, you look at what the team's pushing out. An alternative VM Ralph without they're building cool stuff, and the base property of proof of work is that distribution. It's not happening, right? And I hate to say, like, if miners are going to complain that Ethereum went to proof of stake, they need to do a better fucking job. I don't know what else to say beyond that, but sad to see. And so,
tonight. Yeah.
So then what happens is, exchanges are saying, okay, well, what's the probability of attack based on the hash rate distribution? The hash rate
crank up the confirmations.
Yeah, they're trying to crank up the confirmations in the event that there's an attack there. And
it was painful. I think it was like 30 confirmations, and maybe it was 70. I can't remember. It was a lot, or maybe 20, but it took a while.
And then what happens is every user on the network suffers because, I understand why an exchange would want that delay, because the underlying security assumptions suck, and the underlying security assumptions suck because miners aren't doing their job. So anyway, it's one of those things where I really have to say, and being a part of that project is that's just sad, because they're doing great stuff, but the core security assumption is has an issue because, yeah, liners. What can you do? So yeah,
Yeah.
build a pool. I would love to see some first principles approaches brought
Oh, that
back.
would be neat. Yeah. And then he says, next up, move Ergo address serializers to Sigma Core for JVM and JS.
All right, next we have Liquid Phase with Terahertz FM. Still working through smart contract implementations with our front end. I realized a malformed register caused some issues with initial testing, so had to start testing with a new token. Exploring Frappe Insights as a potential tool to install optionally on top of the Explorer database to visualize metrics and run SQL queries against the database, something APIs not so good at. We'll likely not have an update as I'll be scrambling up to prep for NFT XLV. I hear you're going to be in Vegas. QX, is that the case?
I am going to be in Vegas, Joe.
Awesome.
We're going to meet up. We're going to be able to give shit to Dan in person. I feel like I got to practice looking up.
Yeah.
Dan's so damn tall. We're going to meet who? He's got Chief coming with him. He's got Sam coming with him. From the Zengate team. THZ Liquid's going to be there.
I'll be there on Saturday.
Yeah, you're not going to spend the whole Sunday too either? You're not spending the night?
I've got family stuff that I've been handling, so I'm going to zip up to Vegas and be there for a day and then get in the car.
What if we get you and your family too drunk to drive home, Joe?
Well, I'm from high altitude, so
that's true.
Last time I was out with the Ergonauts, I took them out and they wanted to go see
Drank them right under the table.
Yeah, I lost a couple Ergonauts here and there, and I don't know. I didn't do the best in terms of
that is the thing about drinking it
together.
Drinking at 9,000, 10,000 feet. You can be a cheap date, a couple glasses of wine, and you're feeling it.
Yeah, that's
funny. Yeah, you built up that resistance. You come down to sea level, and you're like Zeus.
Yeah, it's not economical anymore. Is the bottom line. Your gas mileage sucks.
Yeah, great. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
I'm it'll be good. I hope every Ergonaut that's in and around Las Vegas that wants to stop by, say hi, does. We're gonna have a booth, a lot of cool stuff there.
Dan's getting a casting couch, nice black leather casting couch. He's gonna be sitting back there.
The most important thing at these events is always the chairs, man, because everybody's on their feet all day, and then after like 2 hours, every chair is full.
THC is bringing his gourmet coffee maker. He got like a 5-pound bag of like gourmet coffee. Sent a picture that just got shipped. So he's going to be hand making that for everybody while we talk to you about Ergo. And Austin sent up some amazing. Oh, let me see if I can get these. Hang on. Oh yeah, I think they're right here. 1 second. Okay. He sent some for you too, Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he sent the normal stickers, the Ergo stickers.
Oh, awesome.
It says for Joe, for Dan and Joe, right there.
More.
Oh yeah, check these out. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Are you ready for this?
Oh, jeez.
Fucking epic, isn't it?
Yeah. I have to put one of those on my car.
You better hide your car because we're going to cover it, Joe. Hide your keys.
That's funny. No, that's something that's great to see from the Ergo community. Last time I went up to Rare Bloom, I was there with MG Pie, and he's like, "Hey, what kind of Ergo merch do you have?" And so now I don't have a hat anymore.
Better not wear that sweatshirt either, Joe. You'll end up giving that away.
I would. Who do we got next?
We've got Wombo's posted Tabby. Tabby didn't write it in chat, but while we were chatting, I clicked on their Medium article, and it's pretty short. I can read it.
Give us some rundown.
Yeah, so for Tabby POS this week, they've achieved for people who don't know what Tabby POS is, there's a quick little video that they made for Ergo Summit, Ergoversary, that shows you exactly what they are. Essentially, it's a point of sale device that lets you transact Ergo and accept Ergo transactions. You type in the sale amount, the items. It keeps, it's like a real POS device, and it brings up the total with tax or whatever. Hit enter. It gives the person a wallet address to scan. Hit it with your phone. Transaction sense checks a blockchain and prints out a receipt for you. It's pretty cool. So this week they've achieved a significant milestone by successfully completing all work on the Tabby POS terminal, excluding integration with any other chain. Although it hasn't undergone rigorous and detailed testing yet, we're confident that there won't be too many issues. They forgot to prepare the progress image for the other parts of the Tabby POS project. They'll catch up on it next week. In the next 2 weeks, they'll be pushing hard to catch up on the progress of IoTex and Solana so that they can secure Milestone 1's grants. They're relatively unfamiliar domains for us, requiring more focused attention. They regret to inform us that Binance Pay will be removed from our task list as it no longer supports many countries, including Malaysia. This decision was made out of necessity. And they have a nice little graphic on that Medium article about the chains they're currently targeting for integration. So they have Cash, Erg Instant, Erg, they have ICP, Solana Pay, and IoTex. So there's a bit more to the Medium article if you guys want to pop in and read that. But and they even have a picture, an example of one of their little point of sale devices. But it's pretty neat to be able to take Ergo right at a POS terminal that backs into a system where anybody running a small business or that kind of thing will be able to use all that data. So fantastic.
Yeah, and I saw that they dropped something on Sigmify today where they wanted to
They did, yeah.
lateralize out some of their tokens and add it to a liquidity pool. Nice
They
to see.
were going to do a little kind of degen move there, a little risky leveraging. Yep.
Let's see.
Yep, that is pretty neat. So they were looking for were they looking for SIG or ERG?
I think they were looking for ERG.
Yeah, I think so. So they were looking for ERG, and they put up 8,000 SO Tabby POS tokens. And then they were going to take the ERG that they got and then use it as liquidity with more of their Tabby POS tokens and bulk up the liquidity pool. So
that's actually a kind of smart way to build liquidity on markets.
I mean, it shows that they're pretty damn confident in their token and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Definitely. Looks like we, with Pulsars, with the Sigma Explorer, rewrote most of the needed code so that it uses an index node, no GraphQL server, mostly done. Needs more testing, performance looking good, better than GraphQL.
Oh, damn. Yeah. Let's see. We've got Austin with Greasy Six. Speaking of Ergo fans. Behind the scenes, process is looking good. Been working on Ergo ecosystem merch for the NFT conference that we just spoke about, that you just saw. So they've had to reallocate some time. Mission will most likely be the following week after Vegas NFT Con. They've completed the Greasy Royale Mission 2 paper, public version for full release of mission. 50% completed, 100% character NFT production. Website theme update 50% complete. HQ ER to implement after partnership announcement. Confirmed 7 mission sponsors so far. Mission sponsors will be incorporated into the mission's rewards and recognized as major contributors to the mission's goals. So appreciate all of the support so far. If project is interested in sponsoring the mission and what they will receive for sponsorship, please reach out. Next steps: finalize website theme update, leaderboard artwork, build final character card NFTs, build all supply card NFTs, partnership announcements, including sponsors, start mission marketing campaign, building marketing assets, AMA regarding the Greasy Royale participation requirements and rewards. Slated for September 23rd, we'll have QX co-hosts and provide Q&A for missions. Oh, looks like I'm co-hosting, Joe.
There you go. Very nice.
So this will be Sunday. What day is this? Slated for September 23rd. No, it is September 23rd. It is.
That's tomorrow. You're on deck.
That's today for me. Shit. I think it's Sunday. I think we're doing it Sunday at noon. So 4 p.m. UTC. Sunday.
I don't know. It's
I'm pretty sure. I just tweeted it. I'm pretty sure it's Sunday because he said after the SIGs meeting, and that's Sunday. Right. So I'm pretty sure.
Why don't we pull down and and go through what Kushti covers here, because that's actually pretty important.
Oh, perfect. All right.
All right. So he says discussions around weak blocks, propagation changes, side chains support, etc., are absolutely necessary, as there is a lot of alternative options around all the pieces, especially for rewards, etc. We can have the first chat on them in 2 weeks. On finality, it means lower TPS for sure, as a sync protocol is needed. It also a lot of possible side effects for security, which means inheriting new attack vectors, complexity, which is the enemy of security, uh, to legal settlement finality is legally defined in some jurisdictions. Implications are unclear, both on the security front and the legal front, potentially. Not to mention very hard fork. An example, header type and ergo tree, ergo script would change in a way that both header proof of work and header proof of work finalized data types should coexist, but be supported at different height ranges. Hard to know, and how breaking would that be based on current builds across the ecosystem. Sync protocols done for weak micro blocks are not providing additional finality over just weak blocks from what he's looking at. So there's kind of we've had our weak block proposal kind of thrown out on the table, right? He's prototyping. Morphic came in and said, hey, it'd be nice to see more than one proposal, which is true, right? But then we get into this unfortunate reality where you have trade-offs, right? And so looking at what trade-offs make sense, what adds additional attack vectors, what would require breaking changes to where existing infrastructure might need to change or existing applications might need to change. So when you're talking about deep forks, which he called a very hard fork, which is funny. We have to consider that. It's something that looks like we're about 2 weeks out from having, discussion and alternatives proposed as a community. I'm happy to see that. I think that, the more people, drop good ideas, worst case, people following it get educated.
So how do I'm thinking about, I know this is a comparison between proof of stake and proof of work, but let's take a Hydra for a second with Cardano. So can you correct me, because I'm probably wrong in remembering this, but Hydra essentially is a split off as far as that goes, ahead of the main branch, where you can pre-allocate funds to that, and then transactions happen very quickly, and they're then rolled up and synced to the main chain at that point. Is that how that works?
Okay, so you one nice thing that you get in UTXO is this idea of local state, right? Where everything is in its own box and it's kind of cleanly segmented into pieces. Okay, so basically what that type of isomorphic channel does is you take a box, okay, and that box can represent a lot of different people working with that single box, right? It takes it off chain, and it goes through set transformations depending on the logic there, depending on how many people, what's happening, etc. So an example would be you can have a smart contract or kind of like an environment where things are moving faster than they are in the base layer, right? And at some point that settles and updates the box that it initially lifted off the state of the chain from.
Okay, so it rewrites a new box essentially afterwards.
Yeah,
so that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it updates, and so then that's a way to basically get faster changes. Now there's some assumptions that you have to inherit there, right? It is true that you're settling on the base chain, so to some degree it's dependent on the security of the base chain, but there's also additional assumptions that you have to consider, like is it how federated is the channel, because usually that's ultimately something like isomorphic channel is how many actors are doing it, and then you may have logic in Hydra, which is cool, but then there's also the idea that you have to say, okay, well, how sound is the logic there? um
So how does, just to get a little more technical, is there some sort of key that's developed in this process where that block that, let's say it has funds from 50 different people inside this block,
Mhm.
and then the block is essentially frozen or taken off chain, essentially in a lock state. Is there some sort of key that's created during that process
Usually,
that then needs to be produced when the down chain pushes back up to update that box?
yeah, usually on a very simple level, you're talking multi-sig assumptions.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Figured. Okay. Gotcha.
Unless you're talking like, Coinbase, base thing on Ethereum where it's like it's a pre-centralized roll up with like the grand total of distributed across one actor, but is what it is.
So you're essentially having to really trust each individual head of the Hydra
Yeah,
to
you're gonna have operators that are gonna be signing to
yep.
close the channel. And what's the
Interesting.
distribution of that, right? And I
Yeah.
guess the distribution of that in theory is going to be dependent on the uh reward and how many people have access. Hopefully that we see that where it's pretty open, but it's hard to say sometimes.
I mean, let's think in stupid terms. It's essentially how on Ergo how the speed pot works on Grand Gambit. You dump your Ergo and your Comet in the speed pot, then you can do whatever you want super fast within Grand Gambit, and then when you cash out, he pushes the ledger back up and cashes you out into your wallet.
Yeah.
Interesting. So weak slash micro blocks are. Wasn't there something that wasn't there discussions about implementing Hydra on Ergo at all, or the concept or the basic idea?
I think that Hydro actually makes a tremendous amount of sense with Oracle Pool V2. And the reason why is because you already have a distributed set of actors that are essentially collecting data and posting on chain, right? So if you move that off chain, what you could do is you could greatly expand the amount of data that Oracle pools process in terms of the different, let's say assets that they're calling, and then you could settle it on the main chain for cheaper. But we need to
Okay,
get.
but what about so Oracle have no risks. If something happens, if there's a bad actor or a bad Oracle actor, or they get dropped from the chain. So what about something like integrating that alongside of Rosen, where the guards and the watchers might have a little stake in the game, where if they fuck around, they get their stuff pulled.
Well, yeah, that's already built into Rosen actually slashing. Um, so if you're going to be a
Yeah, so
watch,
I mean, yeah, so what about you could integrate that same kind of framework with Hydras
yeah,
with
I
that
mean,
there.
usually there's two use cases for that type of isomorphic channel, in my opinion. Okay. But, I know that sometimes it's sold as like the savior, but I think there are two use cases where it makes a lot of sense, right? The first is when you have basically congestion and you want to create an environment for more throughput, right? That's why we see this on Ethereum, because people get a lower cost to users, right? On the other side, you can use, I'll use the Oracle example, right? You could post more data on chain for cheaper. So you get a certain cost savings in terms of like the operation that it takes to run uh, Oracle pools. So, it's either going to basically give throughput and lower cost to users, or throughput and lower cost to like data or functionality. It's where it makes sense, right? And so I know that there's a lot of, how do I put it? There's a lot of sexy marketing in terms of throughput in the cryptocurrency space, right? But we have to also scale it to purpose where, I can say we have a trillion billion million TPS, right? And 7 users.
Mm-hmm.
No, what's the point? So, sometimes I see things and I don't fully understand why. Like, an example, if somebody can airdrop Lambos to that many people for 2.5 erg. I would say the network is congested to the point where the fees are still low. So does that really make a lot of sense other than either like a improved user experience or cheaper data? Probably in some cases, but I know in some cases AVL trees will make sense. But we also have to like ask why. And sometimes that's a hard question to answer. I'd love to see the research and development. That way, when the chain does hit congestion, and I think as we build it will, there'll be a greater use case for that. But sometimes, marketing leads, not reality.
You were talking about that and it made me think of spamming the network. Do the TXs ever time out in mempools?
Depends which chain. In terms of
On
Ergo,
Ergo, yeah. I know that if I have TXs in my mempool and I reboot, there's
Mhm.
chances I'm going away from what I remember,
Mhm.
or clearing out there. But do they ever time out, or they just sit there until they're picked up eventually?
Well, I guess we have to see because at some point, it seems like
Yeah,
most.
my thought is so let's say somebody tries to spam the network with a
Mhm.
bunch of tokens. You could essentially, right, you could try to front run that to ease out. I guess it's going to fill the blocks anyway, but
Yeah, it's going to fill the blocks anyway, most
yeah,
likely. If
yeah,
they're
but at
paying to
least you could
mine
get
it,
out ahead of it. Yeah,
if there's an incentive for miners to put it in a block, it'll probably happen.
yeah,
You know?
interesting. So what you're explaining with let's say like a multi-sig Hydra essentially implementation with oracles, that sounds like something that doesn't require a fork, whereas something like weak block seems much more complicated,
Yeah, you get.
requiring a super hard fork.
Well, it was primarily trying to build finality on top of proof of work. Would require a super hard fork because
Okay.
finality in proof of work is probabilistic, right? Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see what alternative proposals come out. I'm it's way too early to be in any camp, right? We're still collecting data and discussing ideas.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm always for that.
I love these it's nice to see these discussions happen too in dev chat, even main chat. Some people they don't get pissed, but they get passionate. There's a big difference there, and
Yeah,
it's really good to see that.
yeah, I agree. I think that's
All
it.
right, let's see. Is that it? You sure?
I don't
I
know if
think
anybody.
think you're right.
Oh, there you go. That's the dev update.
Oh no, we've got somebody.
Oh,
Let's
today.
let's let's mention this. Yep, we got Colby Celador, community developer. He's asking a question. He's working on Mac OS and Windows binary releases for Node, reference Node. So he's looking to see, hey, do you on Mac OS, would you rather have a homebrew, NX Darwin, a self-contained executable binary, or an installable DMG? On Windows, Chocolatey, Scoop, Winget, self-contained executable binary, installable MSI. So he was asking questions there. Aberg jumped in and said Citargo's the better option, in my opinion. It already does this. I love Aberg. But it was a fun discussion after that too. It would be nice to
Yeah.
have I mean Satirgo's super easy, but for people just want to run a one-click node without even having a wallet interface on top of it. That could be a nice little thing for people who don't want to deal with a raw Java file. I understand that.
Yeah.
Choice,
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah, no, diversity is important.
Yeah.
That type of redundancy allows different users of different skill sets to spin up different instances across different uh, environments. So it's good. It's what
Yep.
decentralization should be.
Yeah, I agree. Anything else? Anything else to chat about?
No, I think I'm good. See you in
Let me
Vegas
see.
next week, eh? I don't know if we're gonna
Yeah.
have time to do a dev update. Let's see.
Oh my God, we gotta no. Do we? I guess we could hold it for Friday night. We could do it in Vegas. And oh, you won't be there. We
I
can
won't be
record it
there.
Saturday. We can do it Saturday. Make Andy last
Do
minute
it
patch it
live.
together Saturday night. Oh, that'd be. Oh, you heard it. All right, Joe. We can
Do it.
move it back a day and do it live.
There we go.
All right, I'm holding you to it.
All right.
All right, fantastic. All right, with that, Joe, thanks so much.
Yep. Have a good one, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I hope everybody enjoyed our little discussions here. And those of you that are interested in participating in Ergo Hack, the community always loves to have new people, fresh faces, good ideas. So please participate.
Yep, and those of you who want to join us for the AMA on Sunday with Greasy, Sigma Knots kind of AMA style, please hop in 4 p.m. UTC. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good one.